In the previous color class, we took you into the world of ice and snow on the Lofoten Islands. This time, it will get hot. Very hot. Welcome to the color class Namibia. Our journey begins fully packed in Frankfurt, and with an overnight flight operated by Air Namibia to the Namibian capital, Windhoek, where we leave the plane almost well-rested in the morning. As on the Lofoten Islands, I am not alone again and have taken expert support with me. The photo coach and Namibia expert Alexander Heinrichs. As in Lofoten, our cameraman Stefan Klein is joining us again, but this time also in front of the camera. Why did I take you with me? What could it be? Do you have any idea?
Maybe because I know the country a bit
And?
Because there are just so many possibilities here to take photographs, and that means we can't fit everything into the color class. That's why we picked 3 topics. One is panoramic photography, of course. Given the vastness of the landscape, it's a predestined subject. The second is astrophotography. This is one of the most popular and darkest territories on Earth, meaning that the stars are easily visible to the naked eye. And of course, what shouldn't be missing in Africa? Wild animals. Wildlife photography. That will be the icing on the cake at the end of our trip, where we will take fantastic pictures. I can already promise you that.
Stefan, I have already spoiled a bit what you're here for.
Exactly.
What will we do specifically?
So my job will be to get a little bit from the photography side towards filming. The first thing we'll talk about is the most obvious one. How do we get a movement out of a still photo? By taking lots of photos. A time-lapse. The second topic that we want to cover is how do we actually approach filming? Which are the questions we ask ourselves? What are the situations we want to experience? And what do we have to bring with us so that we can capture all the images as we want them to be? The third part is also very exciting, very different and somewhere completely else. It will take place when we are back in Germany. It's the post-production. There we will cover how we can edit a film out of the individual parts that we recorded here, which will finally become the finished color class.
And whenever the topic of post-production comes up, I come back into play. And I have prepared some interesting topics for you too. On the one hand, the topic of color gamuts. Where do I set? Which color gamut and why? Secondly, the topic of calibration targets. Because when you calibrate for the first time, you expect the software to calibrate. It's either on or off. And then you realize it's a bit like being at Starbucks. It asks a lot of questions and you don't know what to set. I'll tell you that. And last but not least, the goal is again to hold something in my hands. This time, when I don't have my own printer, but order a product from a service provider, what can I do to see on the monitor what the product will look like? That and much, much more awaits you in the Color Class Namibia 2020.
Let's go.
Our first stop takes us into the middle of the Namib-Naukluft National Park. After a long journey, we move into our bungalows in the Sossus Dune Lodge. It is about time to get our equipment ready and to show you what we have taken with us. This time, our camera partner is Sony. It's not surprising when you have Alexander Heinrichs with you. My cameras that I will be using will be 2 of the Alpha 7R Mark IV, 61 million pixels in resolution. And what makes me particularly happy, we have this relatively large but amazingly light super tele lens with us, 200 to 600 millimeters. Furthermore, we have the essentials of any photography kit, namely the 2.8 zooms, 16 to 35, 24 to 70, 70 to 200 millimeters. All of them have an aperture of 2.8. The only prime lens that I have with me is the 1.4 24 millimeter from Sony. I also have 24 millimeters in 2 other lenses. That's not what matters to me, but what is important to me is the aperture of 1.4, because we will do astrophotography, and I need the fastest possible shutter speeds while having very little light. Alex will explain everything to you in detail, but just a small spoiler. You need a relatively large number of images, which are then stacked together afterwards to remove noise. We use this timer, which has been developed by the German time-lapse expert Guntherio Wegnerio. We have packed quite a few tripods again. This time, the complete tripod equipment is from Novoflex. Not only because they build fantastic tripods in general, but because, in my opinion, they build the best panorama systems by far. We have different versions with us. One compact version for a single-row panorama, and a no less compact system for multi-row panoramas. It's a bit bigger, of course, but still very, very compact for what it can do. And of course, since they have to be on top of something, we also have different Novoflex tripods with us. This is a normal small trio pod. What I find incredibly great about it, it has no center column, and you can therefore fold it up incredibly compact. You know from most other tripods that there is still a central column, so it's a very, very slim tripod, but when opened, it's incredibly high and stable. When talking about stable, I think you won't find anything else more stable than this, unless you are concreting your tripod head into something. This is the TrioPod Pro 75 from Novoflex. And what else we want to attach to it, I'll show you now. This is the CS2740, our new 4K monitor, 27 inches CS series. That means basic series of our ColorEdge series has everything you need, but is relatively affordable. Full 4K UHD resolution, and therefore ideal on the one hand for photographers who simply want a super sharp image. And on the other hand, of course, for people like Stefan, who is behind the camera, who films everything in 4K, in UHD 4K to be precise. So you don't have to go back to a 4K TV to review it. You can edit, watch and grade this directly on your computer monitor. Let me show you two more things. Surely I have forgotten a lot, but you will see everything in action in the course of the series. The first one is this fabulous 360-degree camera from Ricoh, the Theta Z1. The great thing is that it does not have a small sensor like many 360-degree cameras have, but it has a very large sensor, 1 inch in size. And with it, you can really take excellent 360-degree pictures and videos. And what I also have with me, like last time, are the hider filters. I don't have to tell you much about those anymore. Last time, Serdar really told you how to use them very, very vividly. What is new to them, however, is this M10 filter holder. I think it's really great. This is a big improvement on all other filter holders that I know, and that's why we're happy that we have it with us. You will also see this in action. Well, that's been enough tech talk for today. I'm now going to eat something.